first of all, we start by creating strong management teams in each of the two businesses, the mutual fund business and the life insurance business, because you need people who wake up every day and that's what they're focused on and that's what they're doing and trying to become the best at what they do in the industry. We operate in Sun Life operates in insurance and asset management in many markets around the world, and we do that successfully in many markets. A lot of the principles that underpin each business apply to both businesses. Finding products, developing products that customers need and want, partnering with distribution to make sure those products are delivered effectively to customers based on what those customers need, managing risk properly, and both in the mutual fund world and the insurance world, you need to manage risk really well, and in the end, making us easy to do business with. And that's true in both our mutual fund business, Birla Sun Life Asset Management, and Birla Sun Life Insurance. So the other thing I'd say in being in both businesses is there's advantage to having a balanced and diversified business model as a company. So you're not just in one product in one geography. So Sun Life operates in about 25 geographies around the world, and in both wealth management, mutual funds, and insurance. And it's one of the reasons we came through the financial crisis in relatively good shape in the industry, is that we had a balanced and diversified business model. In India, the asset management for our insurance company and for the funds inside the insurance company has to be separate.
That's right.
Than the mutual fund business. And, I think interestingly, in many other geographies, you don't have that demarcation. And in fact, you can have the one asset management business in the insurance company do both, provide mutual funds and provide funds inside of insurance products. So, but I think the reality is every market's different. Every market has its idiosyncrasies, and what we do as a global financial institution is work with partners like Aditya Birla Group to figure out what works in the local market. Does it put pressure on costs? Well, to some extent it does, but it also provides diversity. And the other thing I would say is, as these businesses have grown, they've each created their own scale, where they are of enough size where the businesses can afford to have full-service investment teams, have the kind of research you need to be successful in investment management, have the kind of risk management, portfolio management, the discipline process around that. And by the way, you can also leverage between the two. You can also, these aren't standalone entities, and you can take, in terms of ideas on process and how you do portfolio construction, there are opportunities to leverage. If you put them on a spectrum of countries, from heavy product oversight and intervention and prescriptive, all the way to very little in terms of prescription on products, India is at the far end. Canada actually would be at the other end, where there's relatively little prescription on products. There's a lot of focus on treating customers fairly. There's a lot of focus on doing the right thing. There's a lot of focus on market conduct reviews and so on. But the government, the regulator, does not tell you what kind of products you can and cannot write and how much commission you can and cannot pay. Answer your question specifically, the one market that comes to mind is the Hong Kong mandatory provident fund market. Has not so much on product design, but on looking at the fees that are charged, the investment fees that are charged to customers, and comparing across the industry, trying to create innovative ways to create more value for customers. So recently, Hong Kong rolled out the employee choice arrangement, where employees can actually move their own mandatory provident funds out of their employer-sponsored provident fund to one that they pick themselves. and the government mandated that employees be given that choice. So that's an example. It's not so much a product example, but it's an example of a government intervening. And I think actually it's an interesting thing, trying to give people more choice, more control over their assets. That would be, it's not exactly a product prescription, but that would be something closer to this end of the spectrum. But I can't think of another country that has been as specific as India on product design,
really,
on commissions. And in many countries in the world, you do not have to file your products for approval. You know, every structure has its pros and cons, and you can make any structure work. I think the challenge in the advantage of a one regulator model is you get better consistency and coordination across industries. You have to wonder about how fast it can move. You know, the banking industry is so different than the insurance industry, for example. And the banking industry has agreed on global capital rules under Basel III. And the life insurance industry does not have global capital rules. They're local capital rules. And so one regulator in one breath is going to Basel III meetings and agreeing on behalf of the country to be part of Basel III. And, you know, so how do they do that, then turn around and worry? I mean, it's doable, but you wonder about focus, and you wonder about efficiency in getting things done. The advantage, of course, would be perhaps more consistency and continuity and so on. I think either could work, but the pros and cons. My preference would be more specialized regulators by industry, because the issues are so unique, industry to industry, and the nature of competition is different, industry by industry, that there's so much technical knowledge required to be a regulator in any of the financial pillars. And you are plugged into a global community of like-minded regulators, whether it be banking or insurance, that to try to do all of that in one-stop shopping, in one shop, I think would be challenging. And I think it would slow the whole process down. My preference would be to have multiple regulators.